What's up, lore masters? As I analyze the various episodes in Trek, parsing them out for every little interesting factoid, I've discovered that some episodes mention the war, but are ultimately filler. They add very little, if any, mythos. I'll generally ignore these if there isn't any substance and continue about my day. This, I find, is very true of the DS9 episode, Once More Into the Breach. The only two pieces worthy of note, and the only reason I'm talking about it here, is the fact that, well, we're late into the war, and still Starfleet seems to be holding back, while the Romulans and Klingons throw ships at the problem. Starfleet vessels stay in the background while the others do the dirty work. This is noteworthy because even at this point, the Federation alliance is still losing. Which leads us into the Siege of AR-558. A fan favorite now, but an episode that was seen as disrespectful when it first aired. In a rare sight, the USS Defiant is dispatched to give supplies to a little-known rock. Bet you can't guess the name. A place so important that it's given 2 letters and a couple of numbers to identify it. As we discussed, the victory of Chintaka was short-lived and basically just a morale boost more than anything else. The Federation Alliance never solidly controlled the area, and it was never safe. The Klingons, Romulans, and Starfleet were still holding on to the area, true, but it was only for a short time as the territory is gained and lost in an instant. In fact, to highlight this, the Defiant is attacked on its way to AR-558, scaring the hell out of Quark, by the by, who was there on a fact-finding mission for the Nagus. More on that later. After fighting their way to the asteroid without a real name, Sisko beams down with the others and they are instantly fired upon. This after being granted authorization to arrive with the needed supplies. Ultimately, it's a miscommunication, and shell-shocked Starfleet personnel react poorly when they see something moving. Once the defenders realize they are firing on their own, the attack of course stops. However, Sisko does realize that all isn't well in paradise. Starfleet regulation requires that personnel be rotated out every 90 days. These people had been there for roughly over 150 days, or 5 months since they arrived. Speaking of 150, that's an unlucky number as well. The original defenders of AR-558 were 150 strong when they first got there. They had been whittled down to 43, losing roughly 71% of their fighting force. I'm going to pause here to address a common criticism that occurs for the episode. Firstly, many people get upset that Starfleet doesn't have Marines or Makos. I don't disagree honestly, however, in TNG there is dialogue that shows us that Starfleet Security is supposed to be the best of the best. In theory, what may have occurred is that Makos became Starfleet Security and that it's effectively the Marines. Not the best explanation, but there you have it. I bring this up because many wonder where security was for those working on AR-558. Where are their defenders? I've given this argument in the past, but I believe that they're all dead. It would make sense that a large contingent of security personnel were deployed here and that they would have given their lives for those under their care. It's not exactly unbelievable. The conditions on AR-558 are unimaginable. Constant attacks from the Jem'Hadar, every day losing people due to combat or sickness, low on supplies, no backup, and the Dominion constantly using every weapon they could to win. This is no more exemplified than with the introduction of the Houdinis, subspace mines that appear at random to kill unsuspecting victims. You could walk by a place 100 times and nothing happens, and then on the 101st, bang. So with all of this going on, it would make sense that security put themselves in front and then they simply weren't replaced. And it's telling that Starfleet doesn't send anyone else. Again, to this rock with no name. A rock that has a Dominion communication beacon that could tap into all Dominion communique if they get it working. It could change the war. Yet, Starfleet, the Klingons, and Romulans are also stretched thin that they can't afford to send anyone. Or they have such little faith in these people that they just aren't important enough to warrant the resources. That what's happening is a shot in the dark and they hope it works out, but they don't think it will. As stated, the Defiant resupplies the base and Bashir begins assisting with the medical needs of the outpost. The people there are so critically undersupplied, they wouldn't even have basic medicines that could heal them instantly. Additionally, these soldiers are shell-shocked, easily irritable. Things would be so bad, so dire, and the people so beaten down that even when Bashir is trying to treat someone, that person pulls a weapon and aims it at his head. And though there are others there watching, no one responds or tries to stop him. Insert COVID-19 joke in the state of hospitals here. However, it's understandable that this happens. As I stated, the unit had lost almost all cohesion. The crew of the Defiant were dealing with Starfleet personnel that had forgotten how to be people. The space around AR-558, like all of Chintaka, is never safe, and ships aren't able to stay for long. That's assuming that they even show up. Sisko would find this out when the Defiant is attacked and the captain opts to stay. He would now have a front row seat to the devastation that was to occur. Stay tuned as we discuss what it takes to simply hold that one location and look at what they're actually fighting for. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.